mind for a little while, which is to take a set of just three random notes and then go through all of the possible finger combinations that you could do with these. So I've actually, because I'm a nerd, done this in a spreadsheet. It creates three random notes for me, and then it says what are the possible finger combinations for these. It doesn't show shifting and not shifting, and I'm going to kind of go through that as I do this. But I just thought this is kind of an interesting way to dive into shifting. Think about what are possible shifts that I could use, and also just for myself, I find that exploring these possibilities is really beneficial. So I'm going to go through the first set of these little things. I'm just going to go one by one really quickly through these. We've got, first of all of the set of notes where your first note, which would be your D string, you play that as an open string. And so we've got, now for that, it's got open one and then one. And it would make sense to have that as a first finger. You could have it as a second finger. We'll talk about why in a second. But now for that open 1-1, I actually probably wouldn't use this very often because this one finger going directly to the next string, unless there was a little gap between those notes, I probably wouldn't use that very often because you will have to physically pick up the finger and move it to something else. There's of course, which is just the normal way of playing this. Now I didn't do on either of these yet. If I shift up there to get that F sharp, that's a possibility, and actually that's a really good possibility. But it probably would be because I'm playing something up here on this string, or just because I want that kind of color of that movement up there. Same thing if I use the second finger on the same string. That I would probably want some of that color of shifted note right there. The next finger combination, 0-1-3. I've actually seen something really similar that I would do for this, in which I might have a chromatic fingering, where I need maybe and rapidly back and forth. Then I've got 0-1-3 going to 2, back and forth maybe. And that actually would be really useful in some settings, something like that. So yeah, 0-1-3 would be useful. No, I'm sorry, I don't know Coldplay very well. Thank you, Mitchell. I'm mostly just doing a little video on some shifting techniques and stuff here, some possible finger combinations you could use. The last finger combination, oh hello, hiya Kayla, that we could use here with open and then first finger and then fourth finger. You couldn't do 4 unless you shifted back to get that 4 right there, which would put all your fingers half step apart right here. And that's possible. Again, for some chromatic settings, you might want to do that, but I would probably then do a fingering that's a little bit further on here. 0-2-4. So if there's some reason you're back here, maybe you're playing some Tchaikovsky, some Borodin, some Russian stuff that has a lot of chromatic, or some 20th century music, that might be a reason why you might shift using that. The next set of shifting with this has open going to second finger, and that's again if you want to be kind of in half position with my second finger there. That gives me a lot of latitude where I can do stuff with this. This actually could be useful if I did a shift up 0-2-1, then I've got that first finger where I need it to be. I've actually got a William Primrose edition of the Cello Suites, and he does some fingerings kind of like this, where it shifts in a kind of an odd way. It shifts back to prep you so that then you can shift up a little bit easier, not using the same finger. And that overcomes some of the challenges of 0-1-1. So yeah, that actually could be a useful fingering right there. 0-2-2. Like we talked about before, jumping fingers, I would avoid that. I wouldn't really do too much jumping fingers with the same finger across strings. That's less useful. And let's see, we've got 0-2. O2 to 4 or O2 to 3, which would probably be a shift. O2 to 3, chromatic kind of fingering right there, a little bit back, pulled back. And now I'm coming to some of these that, again, I've got this all in a spreadsheet I created. It's got all the possible finger combinations for this. I'm just trying them out. Live in front of everybody, woo! I've got 1, 1, 1. So we have, now shifts rapid back and forth like that. Usually we prefer not to do those kind of rapid shifts. You can do them, it's just you've got to have a really good reason for doing it, because there's so much motion that it feels like a little bit heavy, and it feels like, I mean, each one of these you can hear that. So normally we try and do not giant shifts like that one after another. If we did 0, 1, 1, 2, it's a little better, smaller shift right there. And anything where I'm going 1, 1 like that, or I could, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense, of 1 to 1 to 2 right there. Or you could do to 4, but that would require a shift back right there, or a shift up like that. Again, that's too much shifting right there. So if we did, I'm just going to kind of skip around now for some of these. I think it's really fun to play around with these and try them out. This was actually a shorter list of all the finger combinations. I had another one of these that I printed out that has this set of finger combinations that even goes onto the back side of all the possible fingers that you could use, finger combinations. And when we also talk about crossing strings for some of these, like using it on one string, a lower string, rather than a higher string, then you get into a whole other world of possibilities with finger combinations. And I think that's really cool, all the possible ways we can do this. I've actually, and the reason I did this too was originally I started playing cello in my college as a music major, music ed major, and so I needed to know how to play a lot of good cello fingerings, and I found some cello fingerings that for me have been really beneficial, both on my viola as well as on my violin. And yeah, I've been finding the more I explore some possibilities, it just opens my perspective to say, well, what could I do? So I've found, again, this exercise of what are the finger combinations just to be really beneficial. So I hope it can be useful for any of you watching here. So we're still on the first finger here. Let's see, 1. That's 1, 2, and 1. Again, kind of a lot of shifting, wouldn't do too much with it. Jumping strings, that wouldn't be too beneficial. So yeah, I'd probably hash out a bunch of these and say, I probably wouldn't use that for too much, wouldn't use that one for too much. Let's see if I got... kind of staying in half position right there. And really most of these then will be that first one shifted, pulling back to something, and then going up higher to something else. And a lot of these then you'll find kind of uses for them when you're doing this sort of exercise. Like, why would I do it in this specific way? I might want to pull back into half position one place. I might need to, I might want to be playing on my G string, because that has a lot different sound than that right there. When I'm playing that F sharp right there, that's not quite as intense as that F sharp right there. And depending on which finger you're going to go to, if I'm going to go to 4 right here, then I'm probably going to be set up so that I can do something in, what position is that? F sharp to E to D to C sharp. So high, third position, or just... So then I'm set up in third position right there. I could actually then be playing on some other stuff a little bit higher up, but yeah, just some quick thoughts with this. If I find anything else useful with this, I'll share some more of these exercises as I'm working on them. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video that I do. If you'll have a chance to like the video, it's great. It helps out my channel, as well as just leave in the comments, what are things that you'd like to see for future learning videos, for future music as well, if you'd like to see some arrangements and other things like that. But yeah, have a good one.